Hello everybody, it's Sheila the storyteller here again, welcoming you to my wee hoose in the garden to bring you another one of my homespun tales. Today I'm bringing you a ghost story, but don't worry, it's not a very scary ghost story. It's one that comes from right here in Fife, and you can find it written down in my book of Fife folk tales. If you were to take a journey from here in St Andrews round the coast towards Leven, you would pass a hill overlooking the Firth of Forth. And that hill is called Largo Law. And right next to Largo Law, a little bit to the north, is another little hill called Norrie's Law. And there's long been a legend associated with this hill. And the legend says that somewhere buried on the hill there is a gold mine or a treasure trove of gold and silver. People said that sometimes the sheep that grazed on the hill would come down with a little bit of yellow on their fleece. And they said that that showed that that sheep had been sitting on top of the gold. So if you watched where they were going, you might be able to find the gold. But another bit of the legend says that there was one person who knew where that gold was. Some said he was a pirate who'd buried his treasure there. Others said he was a robber who'd buried all this gold and silver he'd ever stolen on the hill. But though he was long dead, his ghost still wandered the hill, waiting for someone to be brave enough to come and actually ask him where the gold was hidden. Because if they did, and he was able to tell them, then he would be able to rest in peace at last. Now there was a shepherd who grazed sheep on Largo Law for the farmer on Balmain Farm. He wasn't a well-liked man. He was greedy and he was boastful. But that greediness had led him to become obsessed with finding the gold, because he believed if he was to find the gold and become rich, people would respect him then. They would want to be his friend. And so he spent day after day, night after night, wandering about on the hill, sitting on the hill, just waiting in the hope that one day the ghost would appear. Well, it was a cold winter's evening, and he'd been there all day, and he was beginning to feel really cold, even though he had a wee bottle of whiskey with him and he'd had a wee drink from now and again. The chill was getting to him, and he was just thinking it was time to go down to the warmth of his fireside, when he noticed the mist rolling in from the sea. And as he watched, the mist seemed to surround the top of the hill. And then it seemed to take shape. It was almost as if it was in the shape of a man. And he realised that this might be the ghost. Was he going to be brave enough to go and ask it where the gold was? Well, he'd had a few drinks, So maybe it was that gave him the courage. It helped him, with very shaky legs, move up the hill towards the ghostly figure. And as he got closer, he could see big, yellow, staring eyes looking down at him. And with a very shaky voice, he said, could you tell me where the gold is on Largo Law?" The eyes seemed to stare right into him before a loud voice bellowed out, "If the Auchendowie cockerel doesna craw and the herd of Balmain doesna blaw, I'll tell you where the gowd is on Largo Law. Be he the morn, and dinna be late, 'cause I'll no wait past the hour o' 8." And with that, the mist disappeared. Well, the shepherd was excited, and there was joy in his heart as he made his way down the hill that night, rubbing his hands together. At last he would find out where the gold was. That would show everybody. When he was rich, they would all want to be his friend. Well, that night, as he sat by his wee fireside, he thought, well, what did the ghost tell me I had to do? Well, the cockerel on Auchendowie Ferm, that's no got to craw to morn's morning. Well, that's easy enough sorted. And the herd of Balmain's no to blow his horn to bring the cows in. Well, I ken who the herd of Balmain is. That's Tammy Norrie. He'll do what he's tell't. Well, it was in the morning. Abody on Auchendowie Ferm slept in, because the cockerel hadna crawed. And when the housemaid went to find out why, she found the puir beast lying dead on top of the midden. Well, a few hours later, when Tammy Norrie came out of the byre, he noticed that the shepherd was leaning on the ferm gate. And the shepherd cried out to him, "Tammy Norrie, come here a minute. I need to talk to you." Well, Tammy Norrie hadn't had much to do with the shepherd before, and he'd heard that nobody much liked him. But, well, he'd never done him any harm, so he went out and he says, "Aye, what do you want?" And the shepherd glowered at him and said, "You've no to blow that horn the night when it's time to bring the cows in. Do you hear me?" And Tammy Norrie looked at him and says, "Why no?" "Because I say so," said the shepherd, and he opened his jacket and pinted a big knife in his belt. "'Cause if you do, it'll be the worse for you." Well, Tammy Norrie just shrugged and turned away, muttering, "Well, we'll see about that." And on he went with his work, and it was a long day for the shepherd. But soon the hour o' 8 was getting closer, and so, with much excitement, the shepherd made his way up the hill again. And as he got to the top, as 8 o'clock struck, the mist came in, and once again it formed himself into the shape of a horrible, ghostly figure with staring eyes. And once again the shepherd went out to him and said, "Well, are you ready to tell me where the gold is?" And it was almost as if the bogle was about to speak, when in the distance they heard a doo-doo-doo, and everything went quiet. The bogle let out a most terrible screech and then roared out, "Woe to the man who blew that horn, for from that spot he'll ne'er be born." And then the mist disappeared and the ghost disappeared. Well, we didn't ken if Taminori had just forgotten or whether he did that deliberately, but it was with murder in his heart that the shepherd made his way over to Balmain Ferm. But he was late. When he got there, Taminori was stood in that same spot, horn to his lips, but now he'd been turned into stone. Well, the folk round about came and they tried to move him. They tried to take him away and give him a decent burial in the cemetery. But they couldn't move him. And so they just had to bring earth, tons and tons of earth, and cover him over where he stood. And that mound is called Norrie's Law. And that's the end of the legend, but it's not the end of the story. Because many years later, in the 1830s, a farm worker was digging up some sand on the slopes of Largo Law for a wee bit of building work he needed to do, when he made a remarkable discovery. He found a hoard of silver. Well, he kept it all, took it home, and over the next few years he took it bit by bit to a silversmith in Cooper, where it was melted down and made into other things. But eventually that man's conscience got the better of him, and he took what was left and gave it back to the landowner. And she took it to the Museum of Scotland in Edinburgh. And they realised that this was Pictish silver, silver that had belonged to the Pictish people. And they kept it in the museum, and it's still there to this day. And once museums open again, you can go and look at it. The silver that was found on Largo Law. And once we're allowed to go out for bigger walks again, maybe you could take a walk up Largo Law. There's some bonny views for the top. Because you see, they did find that silver, the hoard of Pictish silver, but nobody's ever found the gold. And that's the end of my wee story. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you again on Thursday with another one of my tasty tales. Bye for now.